Hi, souls. Once again, my heart is going to be here with you. Welcome to Interlibrary Alignment, a space for you as the author and the librarian of your life. This is a place to explore the stacks of your soul, revise your stories, and rediscover your light. I am Rachel Golden. I am the magical and luminous voice behind this space. And if you're just joining me here, we explore our inner libraries, those shelves of stories, memories, and beliefs that we carry within us. Some volumes are joyful, some are painful, and some are tucked away so deeply we hardly know they're there. If you joined me previously, we explored the blame collection and how easily we check it out, how often we reread it, and how it keeps us from evolving the chapters we are meant to grow through. And then we opened the trigger collection, those moments when an old volume falls off the shelf without warning, when something in the present pulls a forgotten story back into circulation. And together, we discovered something powerful. Blame pulls us outside of ourselves, and triggers pull us back into ourselves. And healing requires us to flip guilt into learning, anger into acceptance, helplessness into value, fear into faith. Before we open today's collection, before we step into the architecture of the mind, I want to place something clearly on display, not as credentials for hierarchy, but as context for trust. My library doors have opened wider, my catalog has shifted, and the spine of my main story is aligning in a new direction. I am a student hypnotherapist currently completing my certification and clinical case studies, where I am trained in guiding others through the subconscious stacks, through belief systems, emotional archives, and long-held patterns. More importantly, I am still a client, still revising my own volumes, still dusting forgotten shelves, still learning the language of the mind from the inside out. I did not arrive at this work through study alone. I arrived here by sitting across from a therapist, vulnerable, curious, hopeful, scared, carrying books I wasn't sure I was brave enough to open. And so I sit here now as both a guide and fellow traveler. And as I guide you through your inner library, I am walking in mine as well, not ahead of you, not above you, but alongside you. And this matters. Because everything I will teach you about the mind today, the conscious mind, which is also known as the reading room, the critical filter, also known as the gatekeeper, and the subconscious mind, which I call the archive. I have learned not only by learning it, but by actually living it. And with that grounding in place, now we can begin. Let's explore our inner library in its entirety. But first, I want to ask you a question. How would you define the mind? Did you say it's my thoughts, my logic, my awareness? Or maybe you said it's the voice in my head. And yes, that is part of the library, but it is only one floor. And let's open up the old Merriam-Webster dictionary. It says for entry number 1 that the mind is a recollection, memory. And entry 2A, the element or complex elements in an individual that feels, perceives, thinks, and wills, and especially reasons. And entry 2B says the conscious mental events and capabilities in an organism. Entry 2C says the organized, conscious, and unconscious adaptive mental activity of an organism. Think of the conscious mind as the reading room in your inner library. It's where the lights are on, where books are open, on tables, where decisions are made deliberately. This is the librarian walking the aisles with intention. But this floor only holds about 10 to 12% of your entire collection. Between the reading room and the deeper stacks stands something many people are not actually aware of. It's what we call the critical filter. And think of it like the security desk or checkpoint of the library before you proceed to the coveted archives. Every belief passes through it. It asks, does this match what we already have? Is this familiar? Is this safe? If it aligns, it's approved. If it contradicts existing volumes, it's often rejected. This is why logic alone doesn't change behavior. This is why, when we know better, we repeat it anyway. And beyond the gate lies the subconscious, the archive, the preservation vault. This is where experiences are stored, not by logic or time, but by emotion and identity. It runs automatic systems, how we protect ourselves, how we respond to love, how patterns repeat. And this is where I want to ground today's teaching with a story from my own inner library. One of the quietest patterns in my library lived on the shelves of my body. For 25 years, I kept checking out the same weight loss book. Losing weight was never the problem. Those who know me, they know I can drop weight in a heartbeat. And when I decided to remove the book, I did, with willpower, with discipline, with determination. The shelf would be empty for a while, and from the reading room, it looked like progress. But then the book would return. Same place, same spine, same weight, again and again. For all those years, I told myself I needed more control, more effort, more resolve, or trying to figure out a new diet or strategy that would be sustainable. But it was hypnotherapy that guided me into the deeper stacks. I found the original card catalog stored in the archives, better known as my subconscious mind. It had been written when I was 11 years old, in a foster home where I was the biggest child among 10, in a chapter where my caregiver nicknamed me Fatso and Miss Piggy. Those names didn't pass the test of logic, they passed through the critical filter, and I unknowingly approved, and they became archived as the truth. And so every time I removed the weight loss book from the shelf, the subconscious mind did what it was designed to do. It restored what the catalog still listed as my truth, not to punish me, not to sabotage me, but to preserve the story I believed. The weight wasn't returning because I failed. It was returning because deep in my archive, an old book was still labeled Fatso and Miss Piggy. In other words, the belief that I am a big girl. And that is why real change begins not with willpower in the reading room, known as the conscious mind, but by gently bypassing the critical filter through hypnosis so the archive can release outdated labels and accept a newly revised edition of the self. And once the subconscious understands that change is safe, it reorganizes naturally. Shelves shift, indexes update, and new volumes take precedence. Before we close today, I want to leave you with something to sit with, not something to analyze, not something to fix, just something to notice. And think about one pattern in your life that keeps returning to the shelf: a behavior, a reaction, a cycle you've tried to change with effort and willpower, but that somehow find its way back. And ask yourself gently, what book might my archive be protecting? Not what you wish were true, not what you're trying to become, but what identity may have been quietly cataloged long ago. What name was spoken? What role was assigned? What belief passed through your critical filter and became who I am? You don't need to rewrite it today. Just locate the card because awareness opens the door. And once a record is seen, it can be revised. Carry the question with you this week. And when you're ready, we'll return to the shelves together. Souls, remember this: awareness opens the door, the critical filter guards the gate, and the subconscious turns the page. Thank you for joining me on Inner Library Alignment, where we go inward. In the chapters ahead, I'll continue to share personal transformation stories, insights, and golden reflections, each one crafted to help you curate your shelves into a living archive of healing, wisdom, and wholeness. And remember, dear soul, you are both the author and the librarian of your inner library. You hold the pen, the catalog card, and the light that illuminates every shelf. Until next time, keep aligning your stories, one book, one chapter, one page, one line, and one golden truth at a time.